Emerging from the shadows, it is I, Joel Clark, author and apparently now tech editor and layout guy for Lone Wolf Fists. Haven't gotten back to it until now. The last video I had was like the last time I actually worked on it. Apologies, I had to move into this nice new place, which I'm struggling to light in a way that works. Let me try something. There's a bunch of lights, and the natural light is kind of awkward. Let me see. Oh yeah, that'll do it. Okay. Now we're talking. We're still kind of moving in. New place, new career. And more time with my kids. We're doing bi-weeklies now, so I get them all week this week. So that's really nice. As a result of that, I have traded the soul-searing agony of like the worst parts of the divorce for the extremely difficult and time-consuming but far more emotionally satisfying parenting my children on a 50% basis. So, you know, it's a pretty good trade in my estimation. And it, instead of being paralyzed with, like, emotional malaise, now I'm simply too busy to do anything. So, 6 of one, half dozen of the other, kind of, when it comes to Lone Wolf Fists, but we're in a pretty good place with it. I left it off in kind of an awkward place I don't really want to get back to because it's just frustrating, where I'm in the Guptkala and I'm in the part where it's referencing things that reference other things, and I'm like, what am I going to do to make that a little easier to deal with? And I don't want to add word count, because of course I don't. And I don't... some of them are fine. Doctor's art is fine. Art of the General, fine. It works just like I intended it to. I haven't actually played with a lot of secret artists, so they're not as play-tested like as robustly as I'd like. I did playtest with the Art of the Artisan, and Kludge was kind of difficult to get to work. What the scenario was that he was in a broken tank, and he was a rank 1 character, and he's like, okay, I've got to do a rank, or he was a degree 1 character, and I've got to get a rank 6 action to Kludge this thing. He could get 4 reliably, but that was about it. Like, it's hard. Like, if you've only got like 4 or 5 dice, it's really hard to get a rank 6 action, even if you have stuff boosting, even if you have a skill booster, even if you have a mastery, you've still that's 2, and then you're reliably going to get 2 or maybe 3 more, you know. So it's hard. The best way I found to do it, and I told him this too, is get your expert level technique, which gives you 3 ranks, and make that an intellect booster. Choose a style that there's like booster Ronin, and you can choose whatever the hell you want. So that's 3 right there. You only need 3 more, and your dice will almost universally get you at least 2. So if you have a mastery, there's 4. So you're in the bag with that. You've got to build for it. And Ronin are build characters. The other characters are almost like a package. I almost made them as their own classes. I didn't realize how well I'd done that until I playtested it a few times. But yeah, if you take a clan character and you take one, like a tree of clan techniques in the same kung fu, you get a really strong starting character. Like they're really capable. They hang together. They have a well-defined tactical niche. Anytime you stray away from that, though, you can run into trouble. Like, I made a character that was clan. He was a 5-star spirit, and he blended the 2 kung fu styles, and that wound up actually kind of sucking because I didn't really have the full tactical toolkit that having all of those techniques gives you. So I had 2 halves of 2 different tactical toolkits that didn't have their corresponding half and were not each other's corresponding half. So you can get into trouble that way. There's a degree of build strategy in this. There is a character creation minigame. As little elements as there are in this, there is kind of a character creation minigame. So be aware of that whenever you're making new characters. Things that you suspect might go together will not necessarily. Sometimes there's really big glaring things in your arsenal. Like I found my character was really defensive, and even though I had thought of him as a swordsman, he really only got 1 good attack in the first round of combat. So what would happen is he would get advantage, and he would have his sword because he had the unbeatable mastery of fist form. So there was 2 ranks, and then I would usually roll about 2 more ranks. So every opening salvo, I was like, okay, rank 4, rank 5, and that was really cool. But after that, like, that was his only trick, and that was his form level technique, and it was really kind of rare for me to get enough prana to do anything much more than that. Like you're a lot more reliant on your prana economy than I thought you would be. I honestly thought that characters would be really capable, and then prana would be like icing on top of that. And in really tight battles, it would be really important. But it's actually just kind of important universally. Like, you really can't do any of your cool stuff reliably without prana. So you have to open every round. You have to howl and do your prana flare. You learn that by playtesting, you know? Let's see, what else? I'm getting out of the part of the game now where I am certain everything works. The next section is a GM section. And once I get through the reference problem, the GM section is one of the parts where things start to kind of go a little sideways on me. Like, I found that, like, there was a lot of advice that I neglected to put in there because I was really just pounding my head into the concrete to get that chapter written. And whenever it was any state that was close to done, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to call it done. I'm going to move it out, and then I will think about this, and I will come back to this so I'm no longer pounding my brain through concrete. Well, it's been since the beginning of the year that I finished that, or somewhere thereabouts, or it might have even been late last year, Jesus. And I've thought about it, and now I've thought, like, okay, did I put all the advice in there that they're going to need to actually succeed in this? And I don't know that I did. I was focusing mostly on how do you make content for this game and how do you run this game step by step at the table. And those are really critical things to put into a GM chapter. And the advice was more like about the attitude you need and like kind of giving you not exactly an example of play, but like kind of like a soft script for whenever you're running. Like, okay, here's what you'll do then. What if they're doing this? Well, here's what you'll do then. But there's a lot of there's a lot of advice that's really simple and I kind of take for granted. Like, write things down, you know, be consistent in your rulings, you know, little things like that, little things, or even things like, because I hadn't written the next chapter yet, so talking about how to use the domains in play would be really useful because they're a really weird piece of design that isn't intuitive, you know. So just being like, okay, so the next chapter is going to go through domains, and what I want you to do with that is, if you just want to prepare things, you don't worry about the domain rules early, that's fine. I would suggest having like a brief script of things that the bad guys are going to do that will happen after a certain number of scenes. So like, call it like 6-10 scenes, like skip scenes, per plot arc, like something in that range. Because that way you can be like, okay, here are the 6 steps of the bad guy's plan and what happens and kind of generally where they happen. The GM chapter could use a little bit more advice or a little bit more fleshing out of the concept of creating the encounter lists, the encounters and events lists and all those. Those need to be more specific in what they tell you to do. You know, it should be like, okay, here is a specific concrete event and it means this, and here is how you put that onto the list. And I wanted them to be generic enough, like broad enough in their scope that they didn't straitjacket you and make all of it too mechanical. So it was your ideas that were getting put in there. But I think I erred on the side of open, and now it's so vague as to not be actionable. So I need to kind of rein that in a little bit and be like, okay, use verbs. You know, it's something, you know, like give them some toehold and some examples of that toehold in use, you know, just so you guys know what the hell I'm talking about. Because I can use this stuff intuitively, but I wrote it, and I'm about to hand it out to a bunch of people that gave me money for it, and damn it, I want them to be able to actually use it. And I know there's going to be criticism and feedback, that's fine. I don't know what I'm going to do with it at this point. Like, after the final edit and it's out the door, that's it, there's no more revisions. But I will listen to it. If you give me feedback about this after you've been playing it for a while or after you get it and you're just like, I don't think it's going to work, please try it, and ask questions on the Discord. Sorry, there's a bus stop next to my house now. It's weird. It's just this constant slow river of strangers coming in and out. But yeah, try to use my stuff, please. Just give it a whirl. Ask questions about it. And if I'm honestly stumped or don't know, or if I completely screwed the pooch on something, I'll tell you. I own up to my shit. It's one of my redeeming qualities as a game designer. There's also some asshole with a glass pack out here. His car sucks, but he made it sound like it doesn't suck. So anyway, Jesus, thirsty. We're hitting our 10-minute mark here. Fuck, I haven't got an update done. Okay, so let's see. There's been some scuttlebutt about this online, which is really nice. I'm going to, over the next couple of days, focus on getting the first and second chapters finalized in the tech edit and then put in layout. Hopefully they will actually be done and up on the Patreon for everyone's perusal. I might make the first one just like a general thing and put it on the blog or something, or somewhere that's got a reasonable amount of traffic, just so people can kind of see, like, here's what the game's about, here's what's happening. My worry with that is all of the rules are in Chapter 1, like, all of them. Like, you can learn any kind of game from Chapter 1. You know, the techniques, which are a really critical part, but, like, I feel like I'd be giving away way too much if I just put Chapter 1 out there. On the other hand, and this is always the battle you have whenever you're trying to, like, really kind of get established, you want to show enough that people are like, oh, that actually is novel and interesting, I could use that. But not so much where they're like, why would I ever buy anything? You've literally given me the whole product. Yeah, that's a tough line to ride. I think that, I don't know, maybe just the first few pages. I don't know. I want to show off the layout, and I would like to show off some of the rules because I think they're really good. I don't know how to do that yet. But yeah, that's the foreseeable future. This week, this week and next, look forward to those first two chapters dropping. I'm going to just work slow and steady on this, going through all the other chapters. There will be very minor but significant revisions to a few things. The spirit rules need to get looked at again. Because they're done being tech edited, and they do work, but they reference something that I don't know that I put in the bestiary. So what I'll probably do with that is just add some more stats to the bestiary and move on. Now that I'm actually doing layout, I'm seeing that some chapters are a little art light. Bestiary's one. It's got some good monster stuff, so it's not super light. Armory is very light. I'm thinking about going in and telling Kazuki that I need some more art for that. So expect maybe to see some more art for that in the next couple of weeks. On top of that, I kind of want to start each time I lay out a chapter, I want it to be the final layout or as close to it as possible. So I don't feel like the first two chapters are light on art. The second one is a little bit. I say a little bit with my quotation marks because it's mostly just techniques. It's a lot of word count on techniques in that one. And those aren't benefited a lot from tons of art. Like, the text of the rules themselves is actually kind of important. Like, those little third page, like, little column arts aren't too bad. I don't know how many of those I want to commission for a chapter that's strength lies in just the actual referenceability. They would help break up the text, granted. I've got a few. I've got like 3 or 4 that look really nice, and I don't want to repeat them. But, like, I don't know. I might change the font or something, just so that it, like, whenever I'm laying them out, they look nice on the page, and they're not just, like, flip, text, flip, text, flip. I don't want it to be a phone book, you know? What is the industry standard? 1 per 3 pages? 1 per 4 pages? I think I've got about 1 per 5 pages now. I think the industry standard is 1 per 3 pages, which... Art's expensive, y'all. Even the artists I use, who are not, like, mainline artists, are kind of expensive. And, like, I got a few $1,000 out of this game, I'm not gonna lie to you. But, like, I've cut so far deep into my own margins that I don't think I'm actually spending money on this. It's been long enough that, like, I think I might actually be spending money on this instead of getting money from it. Sales might change that, but, like, oof. We shall see, I suppose. We shall see. Anyway, I guess that's the update. Yeah, we'll call it at 14 minutes. Thanks for listening, everyone. Cheers.